Hey, this is the Cheeky Mom. This is a special edition. We're filming on a Saturday. That's why I have long sleeves on and everything. It's kind of chilly today. I have a very special guest today. His name is Dave Innes, and hopefully he shows up soon.
Hello, everybody.
And he's here.
Thank goodness there was an extra chair here.
With a pillow to make it look taller.
Yeah, I needed 3 phone books. I never realized how short I was and we've been doing improv for 70 years. And
70. It is. It's been a
I
while.
had no idea that it was going to be this tough.
Okay, look at that. We can.
No, that's nice. And we really need to look right here, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. That's where
It's easy to look at the screen.
Yeah, and we're not at Ron's house, so that Ron's got like a tiny little camera.
Yeah.
And it's just like this big.
I've been there. Yeah. But he is such a male version of an Amazonian. He's like Goliath.
Yeah.
So anything at his house would look small.
But when he takes pictures, they're awesome because he's like 7'8".
Yeah.
So when he takes a picture,
so he's the guy to get the crowd shot. Boy, where did you get that shot? A crane. There was a crane camera. I'm gonna take these off so I look.
Yeah. So then you're gonna be like, oh wait,
there it is.
It's not 80 degrees and sunny. It's
how
65.
How about when you put these on? They're like, I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
But they're really cool.
Okay, Dave is my guest today because this is going to be the Father's Day edition, and you work all the time.
I certainly do.
And he can't come on a Wednesday morning like normal people.
But this is work when you do your Cheeky Mom show. It's not easy.
It is not easy, especially with dealing with the lot that's in there. But
the lot.
That whole family, the whole lot of
those rapscallions.
So I decided because he is you're famous for your dad jokes.
Yeah, no, I have a problem with that, Aaron. Why are they called dad jokes?
I don't know. I was thinking about that the other day because I saw a T-shirt that said something about dad jokes, and I'm like, moms can crack pretty crappy jokes too.
Exactly, but saying that they're. But when you say they're, what does that even mean? When you say dad jokes, it's like there's like a stigma attached to that.
Yeah. Well, some of them are.
All right. So on the way over here, Helenka and I are going through parts of Crown Point that we didn't even know existed to get here. I usually take 45th to Cleveland, then I cross 30, and then it turns into Taft.
Yeah. And
then bam, your house is right here. First time I've ever been here. And we get over here, and there's a cop out of nowhere, and I drive a cop car, a retired Crown Vic. And he's looking at my license, and he says, hey, it says here you got to wear glasses when you drive. I said, take it easy. I've got contacts. He says, I don't care who you know. You still got to wear glasses.
See, and that's an example.
But why is that a dad joke? It's I don't want to go to jail today joke. It's too nice of a day to go to jail.
Because you're driving a Crown Vic.
Yeah.
Okay, well, usually when I do the Cheeky Mom, I always talk about how I met the person. And we met in improv. And we're still in improv together if we ever COVID fucked it up.
Yeah, really. Can you say that on the air?
I can because it's my show. And I'm not in Ron's house. Ron used to be like.
Yeah, so he'll say, you can't say it. Say what? And then he says it. Oops.
Yeah, well, and just for the record is, it did F up a lot of things. So
it changed everything and everyone. Yeah. And it really put a wrench in the routine of life. Even though it's life and you try to get the best out of life. Sounds like a beer commercial. Go for the gusto.
Oh, I forgot to grab us beers.
Oh, that's all right. Maybe your cute daughter will do that. But anyway.
Hazel, give us some beers.
Yeah, okay. So Hazel from the TV show Hazel comes out. Oh, Mr. B. Remember that Shirley Booth?
No, my mom got mad at me because I was going to name my daughter Hazel, and she's like, everybody's going to think that she's a maid. I'm like, what are you talking
Anybody
about?
That's old.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah. Anything in a bottle for me.
Yeah, in the fridge. Can you hand us some beers? Doesn't matter.
Unless it's a twist top, and then it'll matter.
You can use the new koozies that we bought too. Okay, edit this. We'll cut that.
Can you do that?
No. I don't know how.
So we did meet. We did meet during improv, and I had never thought improvisational comedy, which is what improv is. I never thought it would be as fun and exciting and as exhilarating. But the first team that we had was a team like no other. But Ron Harlow is such a master at teaching that because he loves improv, as do we now. It is like we had been working together and had known each other and had been doing improvisational routines forever.
Yeah.
And and you don't have that with a lot of people. We clicked right away. We
Right.
clicked like a retractable pen, whatever that is.
Well, and that was like the beauty. Like you would leave that, and you just were so happy. Like you
When
could
you
have
left?
the crappiest Monday, and then like you would leave, and you're just like, oh my God! It was like you just felt so much better, and it was like a family.
And you couldn't wait to go back the next day. So anybody that, whenever this COVID stuff is over, improvisational comedy classes with Ron Harlow. You're going to learn improv comedy, and we to an extent improv every day.
Right.
When you're grocery shopping, when you're out in front of people, we had to go to the Railcat Stadium.
Okay.
All right, you don't want to be on camera?
No, she's going to open. We have a bottle opener out here. Because,
really?
this is the party patio.
I was going to use my tooth. That one tooth does it. So we were going to go to the Railcat Stadium because her friend Melissa's niece was going to sing the national anthem. What an honor that would be to sing. But if you can go to the Railcats, which is a great place, and park directly across from the stadium, that's the place to go. Because then you don't have to walk 10 blocks. Look around like, is it safe? Is my car going to be here when I get back? Oh, it'll be there, but it'll be on blocks. So I go up to the guard that was saying, can I help you? And I said, my niece is singing the national anthem. Is there any way we could park here? Oh, absolutely. So Melissa calls, where are you guys at? We're inside already. So Melissa didn't think to say that, but when her niece is singing the national anthem beautifully, I told Helinka, you're her aunt. Get out there and take a picture. But oh no. So we did improv. I did a little bit of improv to get those seats.
Okay, then go get we're trying to show. Go get a ticket opener. You got to figure this out.
Live Facebook stuff is really cool. It really is. So we met during improv, and it has been a blossoming, beautiful, blessed friendship ever since.
Yep.
It really is.
And you missed one
class.
Yeah.
I forget why. I missed a whole series of classes.
Well, you missed one season. That sucked.
Well,
no offense to anybody, but it was kind of like I came back ready, like my whole instant family there. And Crystal was in my class still.
Crystal, how you doing?
Yeah.
She has really cool products.
Oh, I know. Well, I did a podcast with her.
Wow.
So I got to get her on my show now because I did a show with her. It hasn't aired yet.
Okay. Look at her like she's
I do podcasts over. Yeah.
Mom.
But so she was in my class, but she was like working, and she was. Because
she does everything.
Yeah. There's not one thing that she doesn't do.
No, she's trying out for musical comedies.
She was making a movie. And I was like, what? So she wasn't in class as much. And Sharon and Suzanne were there.
Was Gail back there too?
No. Gail got knee surgery.
Oh, that's right. She looks taller now.
So it was just kind of like, But I loved all those people, but not as much as that first class.
And it's funny because I have no class at all.
Right. Well, and next week, Wednesday the 24th is another one from our class. Jeff Detlow is going to be
awesome.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out how we can drink beer and adopt animals out.
That's great.
Yeah, so we talked after he harassed me on Route 30. Okay, so picture this. I'm on the phone with my mom. I had just left the downtown Hammond Council meeting, driving home.
How's that going?
Oh, that's great. I was driving back, and I was like, oh my God, Mom, some ass is honking, because I said, I must not be going fast enough for him. Yeah. And it was like, we were at a light, the car ahead of me went, and I started to leave, and they're like, rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, boy, that's really rude. I'm like,
what a jerk.
I know. So my mom's like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, I'm going to drive extra slow now. So I'm like, la, la, la. I'm like, oh, now he's pissed. He's going to pass me. And I'm like, my mom's like, give him a finger. It turns out it was Jen.
And knowing that, she still did it.
Yeah. No, because Jen was in the car, and I like her. So.
Yeah, I told those jackhammer guys in the background to wait till about 2 o'clock, but they have to get that done.
He's probably tilling.
He probably is. Yeah, tilling.
All right, so let's talk about you. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. Where did you grow up?
It's funny, but my father was in the military, Master Sergeant. He was at Normandy. And my brother and I were both born. I have a fraternal twin, 8 minutes older. And he and I were both born at Fort Benning Army Hospital, Fort Benning, Georgia. My older brother Roy was born at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. So if you're from the Midwest, that's usually where you go. It's either Fort Leonard Wood or Fort Benning. And you could not be in there like you can now when the delivery happens. So when they told my dad that was up with all the other guys on like the 50th, 1000th floor of that hospital, congratulations, you have twins. And he goes, where's the window? I guess that's my mom says he wanted to jump. So we lived in Georgia, but then moved to Montgomery, Alabama, which I vaguely remember, but in 64, I'm really old. We moved up to Hammond. So this Hammond has actually been my home for most of my life.
Very cool.
Yeah. And my dad had really cool silver hair, and I quit coloring my hair because it got to be too expensive because my hair grows. But I did use Garnier Nutris because it's got that avocado oil in it.
I think that's what I have.
It's the best. It's the best. And Jennifer Gardner used to advertise for it. So I look in the mirror now, and I see my dad every time I look in the mirror.
Very cool.
So that's
especially when your hair was long during
those times. Oh my gosh, my hair during
that was awesome.
Oh my gosh, my hair grew. I look like a Q-tip. My hair was so long. She had never seen my hair long before.
No. But the sad thing is you're like, oh, it's so long. You know how many men would kill?
Well,
they have those thick
when
locks.
I finally got it cut, there were a couple guys outside with their hands out just so they could get a little bit of it. But I mean, we get our hair from our dad and mom, I think. So my grandson Thatcher, they gave him a haircut before they even gave him a blanket when he was born because he had a lot of hair. So Thatcher and Lauren, if you're watching, how you doing? So that's the origin of where I was born and where I'm at now. And now I'm in Crown Point with you.
Okay, so what did your dad do in Hammond?
He always worked for the military.
Okay.
Somehow he worked for the military. He was in an office. He taught ROTC at Indiana University Northwest. So he was always military. It was really cool.
Not like working at the mills or nothing like that.
No.
Okay, so then so you went through high school there?
Yes.
You didn't go to Bishop Knoll or anything like
that?
No,
I went to Morton, 1977, which for some reason they want to rename now because they have that new Central High School, which is the new Hammond High. Why rename a school? It was named after a guy. That's like, let's not call it Chicago anymore. And not that Chicago was named after a guy. Let's call it
Willis
Tower. Now, when they renamed Willis Tower, why didn't they get Gary Coleman to say, what you talking about? No, but then he was, I think, maybe. Yeah, then he was. So, yeah, I went through a YMCA day camp program in my youth from 6 to 13. Then I became a day camp counselor, then an assistant camp director. And ironically, being a kid with the best counselors and best staff at that time, and then me being part of the staff and then having kids of my own, indirectly, that made me become the best dad I could be. And thanks to the Hammond Y and all those people, because we were at the Y when it was the best version of the YMCA back then. Yeah.
And then that's how you met Alenka.
Crazy. She was a junior counselor, as I used to be when I was a counselor. And she was never part of my group, but she was there for 3 summers and 3 winters. I don't see her for 40 years. She walks into Round the Clock, August 29th. And I said, what is going on? Because I hadn't seen her in 40 years. And we started going out, and it just felt right. And it has been right ever since.
Okay, now, as a dad, you've got how many kids?
I have 2 children. Oh, my gosh. Use your teeth to open up those. Honestly.
Are you serious? You're not going to give us beer? Oh, for God's sake.
I'm going to, Helenka, get my car, pull it into the driveway. Because on the older cars, remember this, everybody, you could open up your car door and open it up by the lock.
Shut up.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'll never do that.
Although the police will come if you pull my car in. But anyway, she has 2 daughters, Ariana, which is a great name to say, and Alexa. And I have a son and a daughter, Joshua and Lauren, but they're all the same age. Her youngest daughter is as young as my son, and her oldest daughter is as old as my daughter.
Okay, and Lauren's the teacher.
Yes.
And you pretend like you're Santa Claus for her class.
What do you mean pretend? What do you mean pretend? Yeah, I got to do that last year. It was a blast. And those kids, I think kids, and you know as a mom, if you give kids you treat them like individuals, because they all are individuals, and you don't treat them like you have to talk down to them, you have to talk this way because they're kids. Just talk to them. I think kids appreciate that, and that's when you have that connection with kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I did when I was Santa. It was a blast.
But
All right, so I say pull the car in, so we can unlock the beers, and a NIPSCO truck is pulling in here.
I don't know what that. Well, the neighbor across the street had
Hang on.
passed away. Yeah. And so I don't know if it's like people moving her furniture out.
Maybe.
But it sounds
Or
like it's in
him
our driveway.
moving him out.
Hey, so what is that noise? Go find out.
She doesn't care.
All right, they might be taking your car away.
Yeah, so her kids are the same age as my kids, and I have a grandson now, as I mentioned, and
Yeah.
it's just a blast. So I think being a mom is probably its own job in itself.
Yeah.
It really is. And kids definitely have a different relationship with their mother compared to the relationship that they have with their dad.
Yeah, I agree.
But both relationships are different, but the love is exactly the same.
I agree, because it's like my mom was an at-home mom up until my parents got
Until
a
they
divorce.
let her out.
Yeah. Well, my parents got a divorce, and my mom had to go back to work. But yeah, it's like my relationship with my mom is totally different than my relationship with my dad was.
But different how?
Well, I feel like, I don't know. My dad was always the type, like, since my mom left, like they were gone, he didn't have like a woman.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
Oh, finally.
This just in, everybody. It's
Belle.
Cheeky Mom. How you doing?
I'm closer with my mom, but as my dad got sicker, I became really close to him because I was off, and he loved my kids, and I think he missed out on
Who wouldn't?
Right. He missed out on, I think, raising us and stuff. And my dad wasn't a hugger, and my mom is like Italian, so there's lots of hugs and stuff like that. So all of a sudden he became a hugger as soon as he had grandkids. It was like the weirdest
It's
thing.
awesome.
Like my dad changed, but
Grandkids, I think, bring out the softer side. If you weren't already a softie, it kind of brings
Yeah.
out a real tenderness to guys. And my dad was kind of stern because he was military.
Yeah.
But there is a definite relationship. I think when a father has a son, it's right away, I have someone now to continue the legacy, to continue the name. In fact, when I looked up our family tree, I found out that I was the sap the whole time. but by the same token, the relationship that I have with my mother, who's 94, is where I get my tenderness from my mom. And I've met your mom now, and I see a lot of her in you just from meeting her at the cool craft shows that you always do.
What's so funny is that I said, I told her, I said, well, on Saturday, me and Dave are doing my show since he works on Wednesdays. And she goes, oh my God, you're not even gonna have to write up cards or nothing. She's like,
you do that?
I do that.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I usually do it. I'm like, she's right. It's Dave. We can figure out. We could talk for 2 or 3 hours.
We
easily.
certainly can, and that is the connection that I tell you that improv comedy brought to us. And it's seriously, there's nothing like that, and you can do anything you want and be anybody that you want to be in improv.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing is that, like, you and I don't get to sit and bullshit.
No.
Well, we try.
No, listen, Harlow, if you're watching this, what is up with that? We're veterans now, okay? We can do that. We kind of help you with the class now. We're out there. You're still the teacher, but we help you, buddy. We're like the teacher's assistant that stays afterwards and doesn't get any credit for it. Love you, Ron.
Well, it's funny because at one point I'm like, I'm gonna have to go sit over here. Then I get in trouble with Shannon. Like, you guys are trying to get me close to me out.
What the heck is up with that?
Oh, for goodness sake. See, Tucker tells us to knock it off. He's on Ron Harlow's side.
So I don't think Father's Day became a thing till way after Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And Father's Day is usually when you get the tie, the wallet, stuff like that. I usually get a really cool gift card from Blythe Sports Shop, everybody, in Griffith and in Valpo. But it's really, and I think, or whenever you were a kid, you would make stuff for your dad, or you would make stuff for your mom. And I'm surprised you never made your dad a face mask, because she is the queen of face masks. It's amazing what she did. But it's just neat to be to be thought of on that day. You know, and to go out for dinner or something, that's nice, but to have great kids is a gift every day as a parent.
Well, and my problem is that my dad passed away in 2013, and like we moved here, like he died, and then we moved here, and so it was like my whole Father's Day was me sad. Like I miss my dad and everything, and my friend.
You were how old when that happened?
Well, God,
I know we're not supposed to give ages out,
I don't.
but I'm so old.
39 maybe.
Really? All right.
And my friend John, like.
And you had just rekindled that relationship.
Well, him and I had become closer.
Yep.
Because of my parents' divorce, and it was kind of like we were the ones taking care of him, the kids, you know, like Dad, seriously. Oh my God, my dad. I just read in one of my memories today that he's like, I had to take him to a doctor's appointment for his pacemaker today in history. And he said, oh, I don't know what the problem with my pacemaker is. I've been eating a lot of oranges. And I'm, what are you talking about? How does that, fish pills? Your cholesterol.
Omega 3s, yeah.
Yeah, you got to take these fish pills? So he'd be like, we need to go to McDonald's. Why? I got to get a fish fillet. Well, why you got to get a fish fillet? I don't want to take the fish pills. They taste horrible. I'll just.
Great. That's great.
I'm like, oh my God.
That's great.
So his self-diagnosing was always funny. And like, it's frustrating back then, but reading it now, it's like, but he would appreciate your dad jokes.
Oh, really? What?
Like, he'd be like, hey, kids, what's that? I'm like, that's a take. You're welcome. And we're like, really?
Awesome.
And like the speed bumps.
I like them already.
Then we're like, when you're going up to a toll and it's like, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. He's like, all right, who's dragging their feet?
Great.
See?
It's awesome.
But those were dad jokes. You know?
The good thing about dads, whether they're here or not,
yeah.
And for those of us that have lost our fathers, it's a very tragic tale of how I lost my dad. If you want me to share it, I will. But us Missouri Synod Lutherans, which you see a lot of in Crown Point, there's candlelight services. A lot of denominations have candlelight services for Christmas Eve. You go there at 11 o'clock, and then right around 10 to 12, all the ushers light other people's candles in the row, and then you light the next person's, they light the next person. So by 5 to midnight, all the lights in the church are off, and you just have candles.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
They do that at the Methodist church here.
Same thing. So then you sing Silent Night. It's gorgeous. We get home, and our house is on fire.
No.
Horrible, horrible, horrible. So we went with the Bowers to go to church at that. So my mom had us go with them. They told them where they took my dad, and he dies on Christmas Day from smoke inhalation from the fire.
Was he in the house?
He was in the house when it happened. They got him out, but he died from smoke inhalation. So the aluminum Christmas tree that we had with that cool colored pie light that would change all the colors, which I think is the origin of fiber optics, I believe, and everything, and it was horrible. So losing my dad, I was 13.
Okay.
So losing a parent at any age is tough, but there's two good things that become of that. They're up there looking down at all the cool things we're doing with the life that they gave us and provided for, and they're always in here. So anytime you're upset and you think, like you said, you thought about your dad today with taking him to the doctor for the pacemaker, always close your eyes, no matter if it's a parent, a best friend, or a loved one. They're right here. They're always here.
And I do a lot. I do a lot of talking in my head to my dad a lot. Like
he hears you.
Yeah. Well, and I know.
Imagine all you're hearing. He doesn't need the pacemaker up there anymore because everything's going great.
When I went to a psychic, he said, "I'm finally happy," because he had lost a leg because of diabetes, and it was kind of like he's like, "I'm happy again." And the psychic says he's dancing. I'm like, my dad didn't dance. And she's like, he's just showing you that he's happy.
So sweet.
But he said, he's like, just to let you know, this isn't my heaven. I'm like, oh my God, where is he? Purgatory? You know, I'm like really worried. And he goes, and she just shook her head and started laughing. He says, there's no McDonald's up here, so it really isn't heaven. I'm like, oh my God, that is my dad. That is totally my dad. I'm like, no more Shamrock Shakes. He's pissed about the Shamrock Shakes.
Awesome.
But yeah, Mike's dad passed away when he was 12. And so
that's really the most for guys. I know it's different for girls because they mature a lot quicker than we do. And they have, maybe that's why Eve bit the apple first, because she didn't have any idea what was going to happen, but she thought she did. But anyway, and anybody's getting apples. My mom, I go grocery shopping for my 94-year-old mother. If you ever go there, those Honeycrisp apples, those are the ones. Heck with the Granny Smith, the Macintosh. Johnny Appleseed must have been a player because there's so many different kinds of apples out there. But I heard he was rotten to the core. Thanks, everybody. So anyway, no matter.
Just flew here from Hammond. Boy, his wings are tired. His arms are tired.
So your hubby Mike and yours truly lost their dad at around the same age. That is the most impressionable age I know for guys. And had I not been involved in the YMCA back then, I had Bob Hollier, Roger Rodak, my friend Barb, and Frank, who ran the Y. And all my counselors, they were all there for me at the precise time that I needed them. So Dave Innes could have gone on a different path and become a hooligan, a rapscallion, one of my favorite words.
And you were like a handsome dude with, well, you still are, but but with that slick black hair.
I had it. It was crazy back there. Yeah, it was ridiculous. But thank God for people like that. And I thank God no matter when you lose a parent, God has friends and family and the precise people that you need in your life at that moment to get you through it. And you have to get through it. It's a loss, it's a tragedy, but I think we become stronger and we appreciate all the life lessons that a parent gave us. And you always say, I want to give my kids the life that I never had. I had a pretty good life because I had great parents, as did you. Yeah. So that's an adage, I think, and an old school phrasing. I want to give them the kind of life that I didn't have. I don't think we could ever give them, because that was our life. Yeah. That was the way they raised us.
Okay, so when you commented on something of mine or whatever, John Frayek.
How do you know him?
Right? That's what
it's crazy.
I'm going into that now. I get a message from him because he's from this church over here.
Yes.
And so I do a lot of stuff for that church, even though I'm not religious. But him and I clicked right away. I'm like, God, you're a really cool guy. So he texted me or messaged me. He's like, how the hell do you know Dave Innes? And I was like, oh, he's in my improv. And then he said, he's like, oh my God, I've known him since he was
a kid.
Yeah.
So John used to go with his family, John and Teresa. And he has a sister there somewhere.
I think he's got two
sisters. Yeah. And they went to our church, and that they started going somewhere else. But John is now doing what John Sr. used to do in the banking industry, which is amazing. John's dad, John Sr., was the guy that invited me over to his house. Gosh, I hope none of the grandkids are watching, but he invited me over to be Santa for all of his grandkids. And I did that for years. Had the coolest suit, the white eyebrow pencil for the eyelid, and the glasses. When I become Santa for my daughter's school, I go and I find one on Amazon. I said, and I love Amazon. eBay's great too.
Wait, here's a plug.
They're polar specs, everybody.
It's 80 and sunny.
No matter if it's cloudy or not, it looks like that. So I get a Santa suit from Amazon, and I want to spend $1,000 because you only wear Santa suit usually once or twice in that season, unless you're like a department store Santa, or like my friend George D'Angelo, that's Santa at the Visitor Center in Hessville. So I get the suit. It was perfect. It's the exact same suit that John Frayek had me wear for years at his house. So I said, that was John saying, you got the right one.
Yeah.
Right there. And it's exactly the same. But, you have to become Santa. You're not just put the suit on and say, ho, ho, kid, what do you want for Christmas? like the one in Christmas Story.
Oh.
So, yeah, John Frayek Jr., who I am friends with on Facebook as well. I've known him since he was a kid. But that is a perfect example of the people you're supposed to have in your life that parallel the other people that you have in there.
And it's crazy that I was like, how the heck?
It's crazy.
I'm like, that is so weird that you collect. And it's weird because if we didn't have Facebook, we never would make that connection.
Where would we have been?
Well, and this is it. Mike hates Facebook, but I'm like, but there's like the weird times that Facebook is a positive, and that's like an example of that.
It
like,
is. Or if you're having a class reunion,
right?
that's the best way to get the word out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
now,
if
did
you
he
want to
graduate with you?
No, he's much younger than I am.
That's right. He's about my age.
Although, who isn't? Yeah, I'm so old. I just found out my mom was the waitress at the Last Supper. That's how old I am.
Bad joke.
Can't help it. And I don't want to wear anything too flashy today because it's your show.
So you can see you in the dark.
Yes.
Because we're going to just go on until midnight.
We are. So how is it possible? Because you probably learned how to do these Facebook Live things like the Cheeky Mom, which it's an honor. It's an honor to be on that show. No, but it's an honor to be on the show.
Yes.
How did you figure out how to do it?
Well, Ron basically does everything like if I'm at his house.
Mm-hmm.
But since COVID happened, I had to learn through Zoom. And Crystal from Ron Harlow Media, I don't want to butcher her last name, but Kadar. I think that's how, I don't want to butcher it.
Kadar, I think,
Kadar.
was a Japanese animal or something, but I don't know.
But
it's spelled phonetically.
She told me about StreamYard, and I've been using that to do live shows. But like this is Zoom, and I record it, and then I put it in my thing, and then
you can post it.
I can post it. And
there are no FCC regulations, or because it's you.
It's me.
How did the name, and I know this is your show, but I've been wondering, how did the name Cheeky Mom come up?
I met my husband on AOL.
Yes.
And
is AOL still a thing?
Yeah, that's my email address.
It's awesome.
I won't get everybody's like, your email is AOL, and I'm like, I've had it since I met Mike. I can't get rid of it now. It's kind of like it's like my thing.
Great.
He got rid of it real quick. He's like, I'll take AT&T, but you know.
What I have to say to that is Yahoo.
But yeah, we met in a chat room, and so that's how I used to talk to him. Like the AOL had that AIM, where it was like you could talk to each other, instant messenger. And he was like, "Damn, you are so cheeky." And I was like, "What does that mean?" And so,
well, he is a Brit.
Yes, he is.
Correct. So whenever he would, I guess, text you back or message you back, did it have the accent when you would read it?
No, because when he finally did call me, I was like, oh, I can like clean my room while he's talking or whatever. And I had the phone and I'm walking around. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta pay attention. I can't understand him.
It's beautiful when you meet him because he sounds so dignified, but he is the most laid back guy. That's what's really cool.
Well, maybe not today. He's working. So.
Well, yeah.
He might come up here and you'll be like, see a dark side of him.
So when he said that you sound cheeky, what did that mean?
Sarcastic, silly.
Flippant.
Yeah.
It's her, isn't it?
That's me. And then that's my license plate.
Cheeky.
It's cheeky.
Mine is a Talbot because when I referee pro wrestling as the most level-headed ref in the business, I took the name of Lawrence Talbot, who was the Wolfman, the 1940s Wolfman character, who I love, Lon Chaney Jr. That was such a sympathetic character. And Dave Talbot just works. Dave Talbot.
So you're not even Dave Ennis when you did that?
No, I'm Dave Talbot. I don't think any wrestler is at all that. We have a guy. You have to keep Dave. Well, some people don't even keep that. I think Dick the Bruiser, his name was probably Dick, or Richard, but I don't think his name was like the Bruiser.
Well, here's a crazy thing. My uncle Severino, he was Severino Davia, but
wow, see how that came in there?
Yeah, but when they moved here into America, they like Americanized it, so it was Davia. So when he was in the army, everybody's like, "What's your name?" He's like, "Just call me Dave." So he was always Dave.
Isn't that great?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So he was like, anybody before the World War II knew me as Severino. Anybody after World War II knows me as Dave. And it's weird because Mike would call him Dave, and I'm like, he's my Uncle Sevy, call him Sevy. And he's like, no, he told me to call him Dave.
So they would do that. And I didn't know that was the origin of when it happened, like before you said World War I or World War II.
World War II.
Because you would take the last name of your profession. Baker.
Yeah.
There would be Baker was one of them because that was their profession. Shoemaker. The name Shoemaker came from
he used to set up radio towers ahead of everybody.
Cool.
I know. So, but I know we were like, And it was weird because him and my Uncle Johnny never talk about
for communication for the troops.
Yes.
That is the coolest.
And him and Uncle Johnny never talked about World War II until Mike came over. And then Mike was like, oh, my mom grew up in Bristol. And my Uncle Johnny was like, are you serious? That's where I was stationed. And it turns out when we went there, Mike's mom lived like right here. And then there was this, over here was a huge golf course. And they turned it into an American Army base during World War II. And my Uncle Johnny was a block away from Mike's mom. She was 2 or 3 at the time.
We call that destiny on the Cheeky Mom Show. That is the coolest thing in the world.
I don't know if it's that, but
it has to be.
Yeah, well,
it has to be.
And it was cool because Mike and I did videos because we were like, before we had kids, we had to go back over for him to come back in to become
an American citizen.
No, because you got to become a resident first, and then you become
okay, gotcha.
So a legal citizen or a legal resident. So when you come back in, you have to you have like a year's worth of paperwork, this much, and you have to hand it to the person at O'Hare Airport. Like, all this year I've been working on all of this paperwork, gathering paperwork, then you go over to England and then you have to re-enter the country and turn in all your paperwork.
What do you know?
Yeah, so Mike.
Now, see, if I was sitting on that paperwork, I'd look a little bit taller. See?
I'm trying to slouch.
No, that's okay. No, that's fine. My posture, I'll have to have a back massage later, but it's all right.
Look for Helene.
Yeah. Where is she at? Did she leave? Because all you guys are doing the show, I'm going to go do my nails.
She's taking a nap back there.
Is she? You know what nap stands for? Need a pillow. It's the best.
You needed a pillow.
It's the best. I did. Yeah.
But anyway.
So you hand the stack of paperwork, hoping that it gets there?
Yeah. So Mike is like,
oh my
like
God.
holding on to him, like, babe, let it go, it's okay. And he's like, I'm just handing this off to some random dude at O'Hare. Yeah. And he takes the stack and like puts it into like a special room, and you re-enter. I don't know if it still do that because we flew back the Tuesday before 9/11.
How long does it take to fly to England?
8 hours.
Well, that's not too bad.
Oh my God. 2017, we take these yutses over to England. I do that because Hazel's sitting over there. We take them to England. First time they ever flew. 8-hour flight. Not to Disney or anything. No, that's just an hour. I'm like, hey guys, we're going to fly for 8 hours.
And all that Aaron wanted to do was meet Benny Hill.
Okay, so I got a story about that.
Okay.
So Mike is like, I want to show you Harrods. I'm like, okay, cool. So we're walking, and he's
Cobblestone?
like, no, because it's in London.
Okay.
And so he was like, I think we turned wrong or something. So we're walking, and he's like, I gotta take a piss. And I was like, oh my God, where are you gonna pee in the middle of this swing?
Guys can pretty much do it anywhere.
Right. So he goes to pee, and I look up, and on the plaque on the house that he's peeing on says, was the home of Benny Hill.
Oh my goodness. That's awesome.
I'm like, what are you doing?
That's great. He was the toy maker in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang with Dick Van Dyke, too. Yeah, he was. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So the stack of paperwork. Because it amazes me because, you know, some countries would never even welcome us. Like if we went to Mexico, I don't think they would welcome us to go there. But other countries, like United States is the best country to be in. It's the best. We have it all.
No.
Seriously. And when people take that oath of citizenship and it's a real prestigious thing, they are generally, and I've been to a lot of them because I used to broadcast our 4th of July festivities at Harrison Park in Hammond. And there's an honor and a prestige there when they do that.
When he became a citizen, I think she was 3. He did it in 2012. Mm-hmm. And it was so cool because they were like, everybody from the country of blah, 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 please stand up. And some I'm like, what the hell country is that? And where the hell is that?
Yeah, where is it?
Yeah, so that, I mean, it was very impressive. But as we found out after we spent close to about $7,000, it would have cost
for him to become a citizen?
For him to become into the country and him to get his residency and to become a citizen, that's about $7,000. You can hire a lawyer, but that's more. And
right.
And we were just on my income when he first moved here. So it was like, I had to read all of the paperwork and we had to sign it. And then one time I was like, do you know where your passport is? He's like, no, I don't know where my passport is. I called and it was in the paperwork. And they're like, if we send you this paperwork
Stuff
back,
inside the paperwork.
yeah, we accidentally sent his.
Oh my goodness.
And so they were like, we'd have to take it out, and then you would have to pay another filing fee of $250 to put it back in. So he's like, it would just be easier for me to get a new
Just get another
passport.
one, yeah.
So, but then we find out it would cost $500 to take one day for me to become a citizen in England.
Crazy.
I sure went the other way. So yeah, but yeah, that, I mean, he considers this home now. So he does miss a lot of England, and he misses his family, but at the same time, this is home.
That's awesome.
Mm.
And look who he's married to.
I know, right?
Who wouldn't be eternally thankful and grateful for that? So my
Well,
father,
there's days where he's like, I'm going back. Forget it.
my father, when he was stationed in Germany, he was part of the 510th Heavy Tank Battalion. I guess those are just the badasses. If you just say tank, they say Heavy Tank Battalion. I think they clear the way for
There's
the
a
other
light
troops
tank?
are coming. Should there even be? Seriously. Yeah. 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 So they were the Buffalo Soldiers, and they have been around since the cavalry days, the Buffalo Soldiers, which is really cool. So when they were stationed in Germany, somehow I get my dad's, I guess you could say, way with people, because he was in the military. My brother Brian's a salesman. He could sell a glass of water to a guy drowning, but I'm more of a people person, as you are. So he got the military somehow to send a baby buffalo via helicopter from the States to Germany so they could have their mascot there, being the Buffalo Soldiers, while they were stationed there. And my mom said there used to be a magazine called Stars and Stripes or something. And there was literally a picture of my dad in his really cool silver helmet with all the other people like this leading Geronimo into the camp because he came from the sky. But I guess they had him from a helicopter in like a big sack with his legs through, kind of like the Vlasic guy that would always bring the babies in the Vlasic pickle commercials. And then after they left Germany, a German family adopted Geronimo as their pet.
Aww.
But yeah, it's Geronimo. It's pretty cool.
So was she with him in Germany?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Was
Yeah, my mom went all over. I know for sure he was stationed there, and my mom would always say that he was in Burma, which I know, but I don't think she was there then. But when he was in Burma, he was doing some top secret stuff that no one knew what they were doing. Yeah. Yeah, and I think he was under patent, which is really cool. So, yeah.
Look at you. All this history. And Ron would never let us talk to find this.
So so you take an improv class with Ron Harlow. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, I've been around. Okay, next person.
That's enough with you.
Yeah.
Moving on. Okay, do we have to cover anything else?
Well.
Oh, Hazel's hungry. I don't even know how long we've been doing
Was that
this.
tummy growl I just heard?
Yeah, Hazel's hungry.
Well, it's an honor to be here on Cheeky Mom with you. And I now that I know the origin of that show, I appreciate it even more. Of that name, I appreciate it even more.
Yeah.
And it's great that I got to know you and your husband and your family, because your family loves our improv shows.
Yes, my kids totally adore it.
They do, and they get it.
And Jack is going to be in high school, and Don Bernanke is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
He might take improv in high school.
That would just be
I'm
great.
like, I'm not trying to push it, but he said something like, I could do that. I'm like, yeah, you could, and it's a lot of fun.
So when I would meet my kids' teachers, I'd always have a $50 bill folded and taped to my palm. Says, "Hey, Dave Ennis, how you doing?" And they were like this. They were like aghast. But my kids but they both passed.
Wait a minute, we didn't even touch on. Didn't you have like a TV career?
I did have a TV career.
Okay. Well, hold on. We're not going anywhere yet, because we gotta hear this TV career.
For a lot of years, I did a million, trillion, gazillion programs for a local cable station out in Northwest Indiana. When I was before I was refereeing, I would videotape a lot of the wrestling shows that I was part of, and we would run them on all the different cable systems out here, so we get people in the seats for the next event.
Okay.
I was the first intern at the cable station because I was taking radio and television communications, everybody, at Purdue, where I got to learn that voice there with Y. Gene Chambers. Thanks, Y. Gene, I love you. And diction and all of that other stuff. So I did shows at the cable studio for 20 plus years. I used to host all the live stuff. And then I got to be in 2 major motion pictures as an extra in Road to Perdition with Tom Hanks and Paul Newman, but then as a principal actor in Public Enemies with Johnny Depp.
So you're down here
Actually, they wanted to put me down here, and who hasn't wanted to put me down here?
in the jail.
But I read for a part, not thinking I would ever get it, and I get a call from Los Angeles. And the first thing I asked was, "This isn't collect, is it?" It was a 213 area code. And they said that Michael Mann, the director from Miami Vice and a lot of other shows, he saw my read and was going to cast me here, but he cast me as the reporter to ask Melvin Purvis, the G-Man that J. Edgar Hoover had to go out and get John Dillinger, Pretty Boy Floyd, Babyface Nelson, Ma Barker, all those guys, to ask him how's he going to get Dillinger. And I got to film that at the Madison, Wisconsin Capitol steps because it looks and Jefferson City, Missouri are clones of Washington D.C.'s capital. Yeah, they look. So if you want to go to Washington but you can't go to Wisconsin or Missouri because it's exactly the same. So I got to interview Christian Bale on the Capitol steps, and I was Hoover Reporter was my title, and they spelled my name right in the movie and all that. But it was really cool. But that all blossomed from being on TV for so long. So it was exactly
a speaking thing.
Yes. 30 minutes in, everybody. It's just on Netflix right now.
I was just gonna say.
And if you watch it, I get a nickel if you watch it or something. 17 cents, something like that.
So you still do
I still get residuals once in a while. But it was the coolest.
So everybody watch it so you can get a book.
Public Enemies, everybody. And Christian Bale could not have been a cooler guy. He had just made all the Batman movies.
Yeah.
And my buddy Rudy, a Hammond cop, was in the Chicago scenes when all the cops were standing at attention for a funeral scene because they wanted real cops that had done that before. Mm-hmm. He faxes my hotel, best hotel I ever stayed at, a picture of him with Christian Bale as Batman. So after the scene went so well, Christian Bale said, "Is there anything?" He's Welsh, so he kind of sounds like Tom Jones when he talks to you. "Is there anything I could do for you, David?" Yeah. I showed him the picture. "Could you sign this?" He puts it on my back and says, "Rudy, great working with you, Christian." So that was really cool. He was the coolest.
You didn't get an autograph?
I didn't want it. Just being in a movie with Christian Bale and Johnny Depp and all of those guys.
And Ron Harlow is interrupting us. You're a star.
Who do you think you are, Harlow? You're my teacher. That's who you are. I'm sorry. I don't want to sit in the corner anymore. It's a round room.
Okay, so then that was one of your. What was the other one?
Road to Perdition.
Oh, that was another good
with
movie.
Tom Hanks and Paul Newman. For some reason, I get cast in the Mafia movies for some reason.
I was like,
I was in my buddy had a Model A or a Model T. They looked very similar. And they needed those in the movies. So I got to be his passenger since it was his car. It was snowing. It wasn't real snow in the movies, but it looked really, really real. And he goes, "How are they going to know if it's my car or not?" I said, "Turn your lights on. Wouldn't you need your lights on in the snow?" We're the only car in that movie with the lights on.
Wow.
Got to meet them. No, but we were then I was in a couple scenes with my friend Barb. Paul Newman and Tom Hanks are in a church scene praying. My friend Barb Schilling, we're in the back, we're praying too. And right at the best scene ever, the guy in our pew vomits. He purges breakfast, lunch, and dinner all over the pew. Tom Hanks says, "See how glamorous movie making is?" I'm looking at Paul Newman. He's got that cooler than cool wavy gray hair.
He was gorgeous.
Bluest eyes, blue like sapphire eyes. And he goes, "How you doing? I'm Paul." I go, "I'm Dave. How you doing?" Coolest guy in the world. Coolest guy in the world.
Did you end up on the floor?
That scene wasn't in there. The scene after that was in there. But in Public Enemies, thank goodness. So when you get cast in a movie as an extra, they pay you like $100 a day. Yeah. And they need extras to make it look real. And when you're cast as a principal, and God knows I've been in the principal's office a lot of times, you have a speaking role, you get paid a little bit more, but they send you the entire script, which is about as thick as that stack of paperwork you had to take to the airport for Mike. So my name is stamped on every page, so I couldn't sell it to you on eBay because they know that I sold it to you. And then my scene is yellowed out and everything else, so I know that that's mine. And it was the coolest experience ever. It was cool.
show them. We totally forgot to touch
We
it.
have to, but it's Father's Day.
Yeah.
And this is the Father's Day edition of the Cheeky Mom, which is why I'm here. So for a guy that gets Mother's Day cards, thanks for having me on.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, Hazel is doing a dance over there because
She's
we're going to
hungry?
finally eat. Yeah, we're going to go have some sloppy joes. So we will, next week, we are going to have Jeff Detlow on. And so join us then. And you guys have a great week. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Ditto.
And peace, love, and cheekiness. Take care, everybody. Love you.